Hello, everybody. I'm George Williams. I am the Next Search Catalog Coordinator at Northeast Kansas Library System in Lawrence, Kansas.
I'm Christopher Brannon from the Coeur d'Alene Public Library and the Cooperative Information Network.
So there's our next logo. Today we're going to talk about modifications to the ISSUEQSLIP in Koha. And if you don't know what that is, stay tuned and we'll tell you all about it. But for right now, let's talk about who sponsors us and where we're coming from.
This video is sponsored by koha-US, your place to look for all things Koha. Whether you're just starting out with Koha or you've been with Koha for a while, koha-US is a great place to find resources, learn new tips and techniques, or connect with other users and libraries. Koha-US provides excellent information, both original and curated from around the internet, including the terrific Every Other Day training videos. You will also find several special interest groups to connect with, as well as our general monthly meeting where we gather to talk about the latest Koha news. You should also check out the koha-US annual conference, held at various locations around the US. This is a great opportunity to meet with other users face-to-face, and build your Koha network, as well as new friendships. And of course, don't forget about the great presentations. Koha-US is also actively involved in the Koha community by contributing towards new developments. If you are interested in contributing towards Koha-US funded developments, join the Koha-US membership. Your annual membership builds the funds to sponsor new developments in the community, and as a member, you also help shape Koha-US with your membership votes, and receive a discount on the annual conference. You can also contribute towards developments through a direct donation, or by purchasing some great Koha-US merchandise through our Threadless account. Visit us at koha-us.org to find out more.
If you don't know what the ISSUEQSLIP is, there are two slips in circulation in Koha. After you check things out to a patron, there's a drop-down menu called Print that gives you some options to print a slip, a receipt, that one of those is just called Print Slip, I think. I don't know what they are exactly. I don't remember what they are because I have renamed them on our system. And then the other one is called the ISSUEQSLIP. And it only shows you the things checked out today. That's all that shows up on that receipt, is the things that were checked out on this date. So
by default, just so you know, by default, it's ISSUESLIP and ISSUEQSLIP.
Right, and because I had too many people asking me, what's the difference? I renamed them on our system. I think on our system, they're called Print. On our system, it's called Receipt All Checkouts and Receipt Today's Checkouts. Much plainer language, no jargon needed. And I actually think we did a video like a couple of years ago on how to rename those, if you want to rename them. I think that was one of our very first videos, probably within the first batch of 10 or so. So it's been a few years, but I think we talked about that. But anyway, at a Koha-US meeting recently, somebody asked the question, is there a way that you could make that so that it only printed things checked out like in this session? So picture this scenario. The patron comes in and they check a couple of things out, and then they walk away and you print a receipt for them, a ISSUEQSLIP, the things checked out today. And then they wander around the library instead of leaving. And then they come back up like a half an hour later, and they've got 10 more things that they want to check out. When you print that second receipt, it's going to have the first things they checked out plus the new things they checked out. It's going to be the whole day's worth. And so they said, is there any way we can make it so that it's just this session? And then that also involved a conversation. Is there any way we can show it so that it's just printing the things checked out at this location? Because that's another scenario possible. You know, I've got my two closest libraries to each other are Leavenworth, Kansas and Lansing, Kansas. The libraries are 4 miles apart. And it is not unusual for a patron to go check out some things in Leavenworth and then drive down to Lansing and check out things on the same day. And so when you check out things in Leavenworth and then go a half hour later and check out things in Lansing, if they use that quick slip, it's going to have things from both locations. So that was also part of the discussion.
Yeah.
And so Christopher and I both attacked this from different directions. I attacked the location issue and Christopher attacked this session issue, which it's not exactly this session, but it's similar, and I'll let you explain.
Right. Unfortunately, Koha does not have a mechanism in place to keep track of what's happened in a session. You know, well, with our third-party self-check, we have that capability, and so that's pretty handy. But within Koha, unfortunately not. But we do have some ways to look at the time the timestamps on things, and whittle it down to a specific window of time to just report on that information. So I tackled that aspect of it, and then you built off of that, and you did you whittled it down to just a particular branch. So
right.
That combination, you can get pretty close to what you're looking for there. It's not perfect, but it is very close, and helps you give somebody a receipt that has to do with that particular transaction more closely to that particular transaction, rather than everything that they've done throughout the day, or if you just do an issue slip, it spits out everything that's checked out currently.
Right.
So we'll take a look at what I put together, and then we'll take a look at yours. Here's our quick slip. And I'm going to go in here now. There's going to be some things I'm not going to go into. We have some formatting that we've done, but we are using Template Toolkit. We're using Template Toolkit to take advantage of some of the logic that's available there, some of the modules. And
I guess that's a quick question I can ask right now is, could you do this without Template Toolkit?
I don't know.
I don't think so. I think you
think
have to
can,
do it in Template Toolkit in order
because
to get
I'm
this.
taking advantage of the date aspects of Template Toolkit, and I don't know.
Yeah, and I'm taking advantage of the branch aspects of Template Toolkit. I don't think you could do this if you're not using Template Toolkit.
So knowing Template Toolkit is always a good thing. However, I will tell you, just as George and I were planning for this video, talking about Template Toolkit and using it is one thing. Looking up resources for how to use Template Toolkit is another. And unfortunately, that's a project that I was supposed to tackle a while back, and I haven't done that because the resources are a little wonky. You have to be a programmer to really understand everything fully, and I have got to query people on things so that we can put together a good resource for how we can use Template Toolkit to our advantage. Right now, it's like, hey, Luke, can you tell me how to do this? Do you know how to do that? And he gives me a little bit of code, and it's like I build off of that. But
yeah,
as far as finding instructions on what he just gave me, that's the challenging part right now.
Template Toolkit itself is well documented, but how to use Template Toolkit in Koha is a little more complicated, because it's not always obvious to people that aren't programmers and aren't using the back end of Koha which fields are available in Template Toolkit to use in a particular notice, because there's just there's just a lack of documentation on what's available in each notice and what you can do with it. And Koha used to use those bespoke alligator double angle brackets, which I know some people call the hungry alligators. But the stuff in the double angle brackets doesn't quite translate into Template Toolkit. Generally, what I found is anything that is plural in Template Toolkit, or is plural in the double angle brackets, becomes singular in Template Toolkit, and vice versa is what it seems like.
Yeah.
And even a character off and it just doesn't work right. So
Right. So, Template Toolkit offers you more, but you might have to ask people for help on this one, particularly
ask people for help. That's crazy.
Particularly, you'll probably need to bug somebody that is involved in development, or somebody that has put into practice some of the techniques. If else statements are really, once you learn how to use those are easy to figure out and re-implement. But there are some things out there that's like I wouldn't have known, unless somebody told me about it, because I don't know, I don't have the resources to go and look up. There's no clear manual on it at this point. So
there's the Template Toolkit notices page on the Koha Wiki. And there's also a little used Koha Wiki page, notices library. And I'll get the link for that too.
Notices and slips library, yeah.
Yeah.
The notices with Template Toolkit, yes. Those are two that I've looked at before, and then you pointed to me the template manual.
The template, yeah.
Yeah.
That's the Template Toolkit manual for the Perl project for Template
Just in
Toolkit.
general, yeah.
Yeah. And between those things, I can, particularly the notices and slips library, the thing I love about the library is, the way that I learned to be better writing SQL is by going to the Koha SQL library and seeing what somebody else had done, and then figuring out how I could do it and maybe do it differently. The way that I learned jQuery is I went to the Koha wiki and found the jQuery that's there and figured out ways that I could use some of those ideas. It's a great way to gather ideas and see how other people are doing things and to see how things work. And that's actually been one of the notices and slips library. There are quite a few Template Toolkit notices there. And if you go there and see how they're put together, that can really help you figure out how to create ones on your own.
So on my notice, the first thing that I have to do is I have to declare a few things. I have to declare that I need to use the date module. And I'm also using something called Koha dates. I'm not sure what the dashes are there for. I'm not sure if that's
that one. I don't know for sure.
yeah.
I'm not sure if they're necessary, but if you take them out, they'll probably break.
Then I'm defining something called manip. I guess it's short for manipulation. I'm not sure.
Yeah.
Equals date dot manip. So those are declared at the beginning so that I can do what I do down here. And down where I would normally list the items that have been checked out, I am using some Template Toolkit logic. And first off, I'm defining for each checkout in the borrower checkouts, it's going to look at each item in there, and it's going to set a variable called time between to equal, and this is manip dot date calc. So it's calculating, basically it's calculating the difference between the checkout item, checkout issue date, and the date and time right now.
Right.
So it's looking at the difference between that timestamp and right now. And then
so first you set the variable, and then the next line you're querying what that variable is, right?
Yeah. So we're setting this time between variable, and now we're taking that, we're manipulating that variable. We're saying that that time between variable that we just created is going to equal itself, but it's replacing within itself the colons with looks like
a blank space, empty string.
The colons, basically.
Yeah.
So it's making it into just a single number.
Right.
And okay, so that makes more sense what this number is here.
Right.
I was looking at this earlier and I think, why is it 1500? So this is 15 minutes and 0 seconds, basically. But
right, 15 minutes and 0 seconds, and you've just taken the colon out of there.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So it's looking at that variable, and it's saying if that time between is less than, in this case, 15 minutes, it's going to populate the information for that item. So it's looking to see if that item has been checked out in the last 15 minutes. And so if it's greater than that, it's skipping over that item, basically.
Right.
And
So really, this is kind of like just doing a session, because it's really unusual for a single circulation session to last more than 15 minutes.
Right.
It's not unheard of. It's not
possible
unheard of
to go up and check out 2 books and then turn around. Oh, there's something on the shelf that I want. Go grab that and say, hey, can I check this out? And it's a new session. But it might be within that same 15-minute window. So this isn't perfect.
Right.
But it's less likely you're going to get a lot of stuff that you checked out an hour ago.
It's unlikely, but it's possible. The other scenario I'm thinking of times when a circulation session takes more than 15 minutes, because I've done that too, where somebody comes up to the desk, you start checking things out, and then like they have to go yell at their kids or something happens, and that session is interrupted. And so you're halfway through, and then the person says, oh, well, since I'm here, could I put a hold on this book? And you go, well, we have that book. It's over here. Let me show you where it is. And you walk away. And I can think of a few times when I've had a circulation session that's lasted more than 15 minutes, but it's not typical.
Yeah. So developers, if you're watching, it would be wonderful if we had a session slip, but we're working around it the best we can. Not ideal. I would love there to be a session option.
Yeah.
Until then,
what you've got here isn't perfect, but it's pretty good.
Yeah. So you can tweak that, but I do think that if you tweak it, like this, I mean, if you set it to 15 minutes, it might not be a bad idea to change the label for the quick slip
right
to say the last 15 minutes or something like that, so that
and maybe even put it
what you're getting.
Yeah, put it in the text of the slip. These are the items checked out in the previous 15 minutes.
Right. Yeah. So I'm looking at the last 15 minutes, and then make sure that you're ending your for each
right
logic and your if. So this first end is ending the if statement, and the second end is ending the for each statement. So and then the rest of your information,
yes, your typical stuff that you have in the
right. And so what that looks like, let's see if I did this in the last 15 minutes. Let me make sure that this is date. I'm going to print the quick slip. And so no. So the item that I have checked out was not within the last 15 minutes. So let me tweak that a little bit. Let's just change that to the last half hour. So I'm going to change that to 30. Save that. Now let me refresh the screen and print the quick slip. So yeah, this title was done in the last half hour. So, you can adjust the time accordingly by the minutes in this particular setup.
Right. No, that's really good. I think it's a good solution to what we were talking about at that koha-US meeting. What I've got is really similar, but it just instead of looking at the time, it's looking at the location. So let me flip over here to Koha. And so currently I'm logged in now at the Corning City Library, and I've got a notice. I set up a separate notice for my Next Search Catalog library. So for Neckles, the home office here. And so what I did is I've got a bunch of stuff checked out. I got one thing checked out of Corning. couple at Effingham and a couple here, 3 at Neckles, and I'm still logged in at Corning. So if I go to print my today's checkouts, this, since I'm logged in at Corning, it's going to give me all 6 things because I haven't modified that notice. But if I change my library now to Neckles, where I do have that notice set up, if I print it from this library, it's only going to show me the things that were checked out at this library. And so the actual code for that, let me go over to my, this is, I've got the notice in a different window, so I don't have to look at that tiny little window in Koha, but this is the text. This is the setup for that notice. And I'm using a lot of the same things. I'm using item types, branches, dates, price, and I've got some CSS to style the notice. And then when we get down here to checkouts, so I've got for each checkout in checkouts, I've got that's the same, and that's everything from here to here is for each checkout in checkouts. And then I'm saying if the checkout branch code equals branches get logged in branch code. And so what that does in the notice is when it goes to print the notice, it's saying what's the logged in library up here. And it's figuring out, it's getting that data from the page. So if the checkout branch code equals the branch that I'm logged in at, then it's going to cycle through all of that content of, you know, the item's title, subtitle, author, barcode, and due date. And so that's how I'm building this to get just the things that were checked out at that one location. So it's a really similar thing to what you did. It's just instead of querying the time, it's querying the logged in library. And there is no reason that this couldn't do both. You know, both of these things could be combined. It would not be that difficult at all just to, you know, add another if-then statement here that says, you know, that has the time constraints that you had here and then ends here. And then we would have both of those things in one notice. Right. So that's kind of you know, what we're doing here is we're leveraging some of the features of Template Toolkit to do something that Koha wasn't built to do.
So I'm trying to remember the quick slips out of the box, the difference between the issues receipt and the quick issues. Do you remember what the difference was right out of the box?
I'm not sure off the top of my head, but I've always found that a good way to, I think
it's just today's issues.
Yeah, I think that might be what it says at the top of the notice. I'm thinking that if we go to the Koha wiki, yeah, the Koha wiki, that notices and slips library has the default in it. So it's got, you know, checked out to, and then it puts the date there and it says checked out today. And the issue slip just says checked out. And the other difference between the checked out slip and the quick slip is that the issue slip has separate sections for overdues and for checkouts. So if you have anything that's overdue, it'll segregate that into a separate section on the receipt.
And I guess it's just the logic of each slip because it's using the same variable checked out in both slips, but it looks like the quick slip is specifically supposed to do what was today, even though it's the same variable, it's only doing what was today.
Yeah, I think that kind of, there is another wiki page in Koha called the Field Guide to Notices and Slips. There's a table on this page that tells you what bits and pieces are available on the different pages. And then I think part of this is addressed in the notices and slips. It tells you somewhere on here, this isn't the library, no, this is the, it tells you in this page, which parts, which Perl variables are available in the different notices. But I think, variables available in each notice.
Yeah, looking at the issue and the issue slip and the issue Q slip, I'm seeing checkouts as opposed to checkouts, overdues, and news.
Yeah,
but it isn't clear whether or not the checkouts functions differently. Without going back to resetting that to out of the box. I can't remember. I'd have to go and play with it, but
it only shows you the checkouts for today. It's
sure?
built into part of, yeah, I'm pretty sure. So that's built
if
into
that's the case, it's not tremendously clear with just looking at this information, without having looked at the wording in the original template. I wouldn't know for sure. The only thing I can look at, or tell for sure looking at this data is that there's more variables in the issue slip than there is in the quick slip. But
right,
whether or not they those the checkouts the checkout variable functions differently, that's not evident.
right.
So all right. Well, another
So
one
there's, I think it would be awesome if everybody came to the koha-US conference in Portsmouth. And I think it would be awesome if two intelligent, clever, hardworking Koha people were to sit down and do a presentation just on notices and slips. That would be an awesome thing for everybody to come and see.
Where would we find these people?
I don't know. It's a mystery. I think
we'll have to explore the possibilities.
We're planning on doing something about notices and slips at the conference. I've been undergoing a large notices and slips project for, it seems like forever, to try and get everything organized in our system, because with 51 libraries, we've got a lot of notices and slips, and some of them are redundant. And I've gotten rid of a lot of redundant things. So Christopher and I are going to try to do a talk about notices and slips at the conference. And wouldn't it be awesome if you came and saw it and ask questions live? So I look forward to that. I've been having a lot of fun with the changes I've been making to notices and slips, and figuring out how to do things like this is a lot of fun. Figuring out how to make the system do exactly what you want it to do.
Yeah.
Or as close as exact as you can get it.
All right. Well, again, I want to remind everybody, you can find our videos at koha-us.org, but you can also find our videos at youtube.com/koha-us, no hyphen. And be sure to like our videos if you like them, and if you have any comments, you can comment on them as well. We would love to hear back from you, good or bad. So
We prefer good, though.
last time you didn't. So
Yeah, it's got to be a yin-yang thing.
all right, so we'll see everybody again in 2 weeks.
2 weeks.